walk outside. You feel it before you see it. That sensation, the one that makes the back of your neck tighten, the one that arrives without explanation. You are being watched. You look up. There it is, perched on the wire above you, silent, still, not startled by your presence, not looking away, just watching. Most people assume it is just a bird, that the sensation is imagination, that nature is neutral. It is not. What you are feeling is accurate. What you are experiencing has a name. What is happening between you and that bird is more calculated, more precise, and more enduring than anything you are likely to be thinking about it. It is called the Corvid Effect, and it began before you walked out the door. In Sendai, Japan, a crow waits at a traffic light. When the signal turns red and the cars stop, it walks into the road. It places a walnut directly in front of a tire. Then it steps back onto the pavement. The light changes, the cars move, the tire cracks the walnut open, the crow waits, red light again. Cars stop. It walks back out and collects the pieces. This bird was not trained. There is no researcher nearby with a reward. It studied the city's infrastructure, identified a mechanical force it could not produce itself, and built a system around it. That is not instinct. That is not coincidence. That is engineering, and it is not the exception. It is what Corvids do, every day, in cities and forests, and on the edges of human life, where they have been watching us far longer than we have been watching them. The Corvid Effect is not about one smart bird. It is not mimicry. It is not a party trick. What it describes is something larger and stranger than any single behavior. Corvids, crows, ravens, jackdaws, rooks, jays, have built a distributed intelligence system that spans individuals, communities, and generations. They have a hierarchy. They have a collective memory. They maintain a database of faces. They assign threat values to specific individuals. They share that information laterally through the flock, and they pass it down through time to birds that were not alive when the original record was made. When you walk past a crow in your neighborhood, you are not walking past a bird. You are passing through a checkpoint, one that has been logging your appearances since the first time you entered its territory. You are in the system. You have been in the system. The question is only what your file says. What value has been assigned to your face? Whether you are logged as a threat, as a neutral presence, or as something rarer. Someone who was once kind, someone worth watching carefully, someone worth telling the others about. In 2010, a team led by Professor John Marsluff at the University of Washington published findings in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences that made the database metaphor precise. Researchers wore specific latex masks while capturing and banding wild American crows. A dangerous mask, a neutral mask, one handling event, one day. Then the masks were retired. No further contact. Months passed. Then the researchers put the dangerous mask back on and walked through crow territory again. The crows that had been present during the original capture scolded, mobbed, dove. That was expected. What was not expected was this. Crows that had never been captured, had never been near the original event, had never seen the dangerous mask before, were also reacting, with the same aggression, the same precision. The threat information had moved through the flock without any deliberate transmission. The new crows had been told, by the ones who remembered, and then the studies ran longer. The reaction to the dangerous mask did not diminish. It intensified. More crows reacted each year. More birds who had never experienced the original event were responding with full threat behavior. The record had been distributed, verified, and inherited by birds born after it was made. Your face, if a crow in your neighborhood has ever seen you do something it categorized as a threat, is in that record, and it will remain there long after you have forgotten the moment it was entered. But the database is only one layer of the Corvid Effect, because the intelligence that maintains it is not a specialized module. It is general. It applies to any problem the bird has never encountered. In 2002, a crow named Betty at Oxford University was given a straight piece of wire and a vertical tube containing a small food bucket. The bucket was too deep to reach by beak. Betty had never seen bent wire before. She had never been trained to use tools. She looked at the problem. She picked up the wire. She bent it against the edge of the tube, forming a hook. She inserted the hook and retrieved the bucket. The researchers had not intended to give her wire. It was left in the enclosure by accident. They had no protocol for what happened next because they had not believed it was possible. Betty did not trial and error her way to the solution. She modeled the problem in her mind, understood what shape would solve it, and manufactured that shape from raw materials. This is what psychologists call insight, the ability to solve a problem before acting on it, to run the solution inside the mind and only then execute the physical version. It is the same cognitive event that separates human problem-solving from reflex, and it happened inside a walnut-sized brain in a crow that had never been shown how, had never seen it done, had simply looked at the problem and understood it. Then there is the question of other minds. Western scrub jays, corvids, hide food in thousands of individual caches. They remember every one, but researcher Nicola Clayton at Cambridge discovered something that went further than memory. If a scrub jay is being watched while it hides food, it returns later and moves the cache. If it was not watched, it leaves the cache where it is. The bird can model the mental state of the observer. It knows that the watcher knows where the food is. It knows the watcher might steal, and it acts on that knowledge by removing the information from the observer's record. But here is where it becomes something else entirely. The birds most likely to re-hide food when observed are the birds that have themselves stolen food from others. They can model. This observer might steal from me because I know how stealers think. I am one. Theory of mind. The projection of mental states onto another individual. The cognitive ability that allows humans to deceive, cooperate, teach, and empathize. Running inside a Corvid brain. Applied not just to food storage, but to you, to the face you showed it, to the judgment it has already rendered. This is the center of the Corvid Effect. We have always assumed we are the observers. We look at nature. We study animals. We classify, categorize, measure, and publish. We assume ourselves at the top of the cognitive hierarchy, looking down at everything below. What the Corvid Effect demonstrates is that the hierarchy has always had something on it that was looking back. Right now, outside your window, there is an intelligence that has been running a parallel analysis of the human world for longer than we have known to ask questions about it. It knows your face. It has assigned you a value. It has shared that value with the network, and when you walk past it on the way to wherever you are going, it is not the bird you are observing. It is the bird observing you. And here is what makes this impossible to dismiss. The Corvid brain has no neocortex. The neocortex is the structure where human cognition lives. Planning, insight, theory of mind, abstract reasoning. For decades, its absence in birds was taken as scientific proof that complex cognition could not exist in them. The Corvid effect is what happens when you test that assumption with actual data. Everything attributed exclusively to the neocortex turns up in Corvids, built from a completely different neural architecture. The nidipallium caudolateral in the Corvid brain performs the same functions as the human prefrontal cortex while sharing almost none of its structure. Evolution found the answer twice. We thought intelligence was ours, a product of the specific hardware we carry, a property of our particular brain structure. The Corvid effect proves it is not hardware. It is a solution to the problem of surviving in a complex world, and evolution discovered it independently, in a brain the size of a walnut, in a bird that has been watching us from telephone wires for the entirety of human civilization. You are not observing them. You never were. When you walk past a crow, you are not just passing a bird, you are passing a judgment. One it has already made, one it has already shared, one that will survive you in the memory of that flock. So the next time you feel that stare, don't look away. Look back and wonder what they are logging about you today, because somewhere in that network, your file is open. Your face has been mapped, your value has been assigned, and the record will outlast the moment you forgot to look up.